Hello everyone! Today I would like to show you a closer look at two new products which I have just received. They are from Mixed Hobby, as can be seen, and both of them are dedicated for the Tamiya Porsche 911 GT3 RS 992. The lovely kit from Tamiya, which yes, I want to join the majority of the modelers around the world and build my own version, hopefully someday in the near future. And while looking at the HobbyEasy website, I noticed these two new products, which I really like the contents, and also they were selling at a very good price. I will leave a link to both of them into this video's description below so that you also can take a look. Let's first begin with this one, alright, which contains the code MX050077, and inside we can find a wheel and disc set. It has a good amount of parts, where we have the wheels. Alright, so we begin with the rims, tires, brakes, a decal sheet, and also an instruction sheet. Very basic instruction sheet, however, it begins by telling you the tire rotation, the tire direction, so that you will not mount them in the opposite way. The disc brakes, because they are in two parts and you need to join the front with the rotor. And then it explains the decals from the decal sheet. These decals that need to be attached to the rotor. Very, very small decals, however, if I manage to attach them, it will add a lot of detail, and also even smaller decals to attach them to the central locking nut of the rims. They attach literally around the locking nut. If I manage to do that, once again, it will add a lot of detail. I didn't see any locking nuts included with my transkit, so I'm guessing that I will need to use the original Tamiya locking nuts. From some quick calculations I did, the central part is exactly the same diameter as the original rims from Tamiya, so from what I can assume, the original Tamiya center locking nuts fit well also on these wheels, and you need to use those. So these are the wheels, the rims, these are the rear ones, the wider, and these are the front, much narrower. Okay, very nice, very nicely printed. And on the back there are still some remnants of the supports that were once attached. You just need a quick sanding and you're off for primer, because they are very, very nicely printed. Tamiya fitment, so they will fit right away instead of the originals. And I also have the original right here. We can do a quick comparison. And what I noticed is that the ones from the transkit are 1 millimeter larger than the original ones. Okay, so the front ones on the original Tamiya are 22 millimeter. From the transkit they are 23. The rears are 23. On the transkit they are 24. So they are even slightly larger than the original ones, something which I really like. And now let's take a look at the tires. We can see the Michelin details, Michelin logo, together with all the details, just like the original tires that we can find on the real 992. Very nice. These are supplied, still attached to the with the supports and everything, so that we can cut them ourselves. And I'm hoping that on the back there is also the Michelin details. I'm not sure, it's not visible. And this is the original tire from Tamiya. This is the back one. Okay, so that we can make a comparison. And when I put them on top of each other, I can notice that they are exactly the same diameter. So we are keeping the same height when it comes to the wheels, alright? However, This one is a slightly lower profile to compensate for the bigger rims. So I'm sure that they will look much better than the original ones. When we consider this thing, the width is also the same. While this is the front ones. Okay, the front tires. There we go. Same diameter. And roughly the same width also. Just like the original. However, you can see that the original Tamiya tires don't have any Michelin details anywhere. They are just plain wool. So it's nice to have also that detail, which make the tires more realistic. Finally, we have the brakes. There we go. This part needs to be attached to the rotor, as we could see. And then attach the decals around for that extra detail. And we can also see that they are vented right there. And that's an extra detail because the Tamiya ones, the original ones, are right here. They are nice, they are detailed, slotted. However, they don't have that ventilation detail, they are just plain. So if you are looking for that extra detail, this can be also a nice thing to replace, to have that a little bit more detail. And now I'm curious to see the decals. And we can see that we have some nice variety of decals. They are not numbered, however, you can understand that these are for the brakes and these are for the large round ones are for the brakes, the smaller ones are for the central locking nuts. And then we have also those tiny decals which are explained into the instruction sheet where they need to be attached because there is no actual number attached to them. Very nice. The other one has the code MX05080, and this one actually is an air duct liner and cooler. So these are the parts that are included. We have two boxes of 3D printed parts together with a bag of mesh and a template. Let's also begin from the instructions. First of all, we have the air duct, which assembles. So you have the main part of the air duct and then the fan together with the cooler and also two pieces of hoses. You are being told how to assemble them and then ultimately attach it beneath the front hood so that once looking through the vents, you can see the details that are being shown right here. In purple, okay, we can see that you have the grid. Grid is referring to the mesh. Right there, we'll take a look at that very soon. Also, you have some instructions to cut two pieces from the original Tamiya chassis, and I'm guessing that that is to install this part right here that attaches beneath, behind the bumper support. We're seeing it over here, okay? And they are telling us to install the grid in purple and also to cut off the original part from Tamiya and instead install the part that is included with the big box. And then finally on the inside of the windows, so it's part of the interior, we have those pillars that attach over there to the pillars of the windows. Okay, so that's the instructions, and now let's start taking a look at the contents. So let's begin with what they are calling the grid, the mesh. So we have this black piece right here that is not mentioned in the instructions. And then we have this piece of mesh, very commonly found in Tamiya kits. It's very similar to that kind of mesh. And then we have this right here, which is a template so that we can put it on and cut it accordingly for the vents of the hood and also for the mesh behind the front bumper. So that's the first part. I'm going to talk about this very soon after taking a look at this, because in this small 3D printed box, alright, we have the pillars, as can be seen, the ones that are mentioned that needs to be attached from inside to be part of the interior. And in the middle, we can also see some seatbelt receptacles and buckles. Over there, you can see these are not mentioned in the instructions, as we could see. However, they are giving to us, very nice to find, an extra goodies. And referring to this piece, look at that texture, and I'm guessing that this is also to be used as a seatbelt material. Okay, so that's the small box, and then we have the bigger box. Which contains all the parts that were seen in the instruction. That is the air duct, the fan, the cooler, together with the two hoses, and this part that attaches behind the front bumper. Once again, the quality of the print is perfect. You can see some print lines, just a little bit of sanding. However, other than that, the quality is top-notch, very good. As can be seen, just cut the supports, some cleaning, and we are off to go to add the details. So let me know what you think in the comments below. This is my first time getting products from Mix Hobby, and I must say that I am not disappointed at all. I really like the contents that are included. They thought of everything. I could notice that both of them were made with some precision in mind, and many people are still in the process of building the 992 just like me. So I thought of sharing the experience with you all so that you will know exactly what is out there in the market when you search. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you all into my next video, and please don't forget to subscribe.